Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Slade. I'm going to try something new today where I'm starting a new sculpt, and I thought it would be fun to maybe get a little video of it. So, and since Oculus Medium has a really cool built-in filming system, we're just going to do that. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and move the camera out a little bit so you can see actually what I'm working on here. There we go. Turn off my grip ability. So you see I've already put a dot right in the middle, just so I know where the middle of my scene is. Get my mirrors confused up or anything like that. Let's see here. To start, I need a source photo. Let's go ahead and add that in. Let's see, file. Where is it? Layers. There it is. Add an image. Let's see. Hopefully this is still working. That might have been glitchy for a second there because it doesn't like opening up this folder sometimes. I'm going to go ahead and pick our Siegewalker that I posted on Monday. Not a permanent name. Go ahead and give me naming ideas as we go along. Alright, so you can see in this I can pull up a source photo, expand it, make it as big as I want. A lot of times I'll even run along the photo I made just to sketch out things. But we're going to go ahead and set this off to the side here for a second. Make sure that's good and visible. Excellent. Feel like an artiste of sorts. Anyway. Set that over there. We're going to move my layers window over here so I can see what layers I'm on. Just going to start with a simple layer. What I've done in the past is I've started by just doing the metal bits on my sculpts because it seems like it looks better if the vines run into the metal bits rather than building the vines first and then the metal on top of it. That's what I did with the VineBot-2s. It was a lot more work anyway. Alrighty, go ahead and up our resolution a little bit on this layer. Always like to start at a high resolution. And we'll get my move tool out. So we're going to start by designing, let's do this bottom carapace. You see how it's kind of got a rounded shape and then a few little juts down. So this isn't actually the best shape to start with on that. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Got my erase tool out. We'll just get rid of that. Not angles. I don't need angle snap. I need grid snap and mirror so I can see the center. So now I've got this grid I can kind of base off of, and I can see exactly where the center of my scene is. Let's find a better stamp to start with. Here, I'll put this over here so you guys can see what I'm doing. So these are my commonly used stamps. I'm not seeing the one I want, so we're going to go down to primitives, and then over until I find it. I think it's this one right here. Wedge B. I'll use that one. Yeah, get it selected. There it goes. We want a single stamp because we don't want to be moving it around, so let's just make one shape. No taper. We should be good. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and set up the angle snap as well so it's not off at a weird angle or anything like that. This is the carapace. We'll make it pretty big because this is a big machine. Put that right there. Takes a second to load in because it is a bigger piece. Alright, let's turn off our angle snap and our grid snap. Don't need them anymore for a second. Alrighty. Though actually I maybe want my grid snap real quick just for... What we're going to do is, because it's got a cutout, you see, it's got a cutout in there. I'm going to go ahead and try to put that cutout in just by using the angle snap and the grid. With the grid though, I'm going to go ahead and add a few more dots so I can kind of iterate it in and out, you know. Well, you don't know, but you will see. Make this into a cutting tool, cut a little hole in the center of it. We're going to go to our grid settings. We're going to add a couple subdivisions on it so we can get a little bit more precision while still being... Alright, so we got kind of a general cutout in the middle. And now I want to get rid of the grid. I really don't like working with the grid typically, but it's good for these kind of like, I need this to be centered kind of a thing, you know? I don't really need angle snap anymore, or mirror. I pretty much always have on, actually. So let's look what we have here. Let's see here. The camera can see us well enough. Actually, let's go ahead and move the camera in a bit. Hi. Alright, so... Go back. Alrighty, so I can resize this thing around a little bit. Let's see what I've made. Kind of looks like a soap bar right now. Not my favorite. Turn on my cutting tool. So I'm imagining that these cutouts here are actually wrapping all the way around the bottom. So let's go ahead and add that cutout then. Make sure my tool's on continuous mode. Let's see, make sure it's erasing everything I want it to. Kind of at an angle already. That's good. That's what I was hoping it would do. Alright, then we've got kind of another jut down, and then we've got another cutout right there for the leg. And maybe each leg has a cutout then. Which, why does this one exist then? I don't... Fun. Sometimes I have to reevaluate my concept art because it's not entirely logical. Let's just make these cutouts for the legs for now. So there's a cutout for the legs back here. Okay. And then we'll do a cutout for the legs in front. It looks like my concept art, they're way forward facing, and I kind of like that actually. Maybe we should do that with the back legs too. Let's back facing legs and forward facing legs, because then you get more rock stability on like a Canon device like this is going to be. Right there. I'll put some right there. There we go. So now we've got something that's got cute little hearts in there. Fun, but not necessarily cool looking, so we're going to get rid of those hearts actually real quick. And honestly, a lot with my designs, the rule of cool generally wins, just because that's what I like to do. Alright, so now we have a carriage with some vine holes in the bottom. We need to do some smoothing, we need to do some carving on this. Let's go ahead and turn on the smooth tool. Make that a bit bigger. Roll this edge here just so it's not so jagged looking. The cuts do sometimes make these things jagged. The strength must not be very high on that right now. Oop, wrong menu. There we go. The strength's like 5. There we go. You can see why I like using the mirror tool, because then at least I've got something that's pretty even about it. Make this bigger so I can get some more detail work done in here. See how my tool kind of resizes the further away it is from it? It's actually a really cool program. If you have a VR set and you haven't tried this, it's very, very cool. Do that. Just clean up all my edges. A lot of this isn't going to be visible, but it just makes me feel better. Yeah, it really does, actually. Hate it when there's like super rough looking edges on these things. Even if it doesn't matter, makes me feel better. Yep. Let's see. Anyway, so I hope that this is somewhat entertaining to watch. We'll see. I thought it'd be something more fun to post than just like my prototype picture, which may not get very far, honestly, you know. Alright, so we got all those edges smoothed up. Let's see, do I like how the shape is looking right now? Let's kind of compare it to our concept art. Now, see, now it's kind of got a bowl shape to it, so we're going to want to cut that out a bit, just so it's got some swoop to it. And I wonder if there's another tool we can use. Let me open that up so you guys can see it. How are we looking? Mostly good. Okay. Let's see here. There's this pill. This is honestly one of my favorite cutting tools. We're going to go ahead and turn on an angle snap so we get the 90-degree angle so we can get the bottom curve really well, you know. So let's get this over here. Make it big so I can get more precision, because the tip I've learned is that the bigger the model is, the less my human imprecision is noticeable, which is good. Make these cutting tools really big. And kind of center it just by eye. I don't think it matters that much on this one if it is actually centered. Alrighty. I think that might have been a bit too much. Let's back that off a bit. Do that by making it smaller. Okay. I wonder if actually there's a grid snap anywhere that would work well for that. Let's see. Not anywhere I really like, and I don't care to go in to fix its subdivisions right now, so let's just eyeball it. Right about there. And then what we're going to do is turn off our angle snap and just clean up these corners a little bit. Use the smaller pill tool. Clean the corners up like that. Clean them up over here like that. Kind of slowly just cutting away at my armor here until it's a shape I really like. And there we go. We got kind of the boat shape that we wanted in there. I might continue to adjust it as we go along. Alright, let's smooth that up a bit. So I'd imagine this being primarily a military vehicle. Well, I mean, it's a Siegewalker, right? So, yeah, I might think this cannon is something more hexagonal, like a hexagonal column. Because I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of hexagons in my theme here. Particularly in the yellow Commonwealth, they tend to use hexagonal structures because there's a lot of, well, two reasons actually, and they kind of make sense. There's a lot of strength in a hexagonal structure, as well as when you're growing something that is circular next to a lot of other circular things and they expand, they will actually grow into a hexagon, which is why beehives and honeycombs are hexagonal. So in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, they're growing these metal columns, right? And they're not going to make one-offs. This is mass production. This is the future, you know. Like, you think we're good at mass production. They're going to get better at it, right? So they're going to be growing all these things side by side by side by side, so they're going to get that nice hexagonal structure. Now, in the Red Commonwealth, they're less concerned about mass production and, like, directly manipulating the genes of the plants. They just want them to be grown partially for structure and partially for carrying electricity and other utilities and things like that. But it doesn't stop them from using it somewhat as well. So, sorry, scratching my chin there. Probably looked funny. Alrighty. That cutout's kind of funny, but I don't think it'll be visible once we're done. But now, when I'm done with like a general shape I like, and I've smoothed all the edges except for those because I missed them. Let's do them real quick. Won't take too long. I like to adjust the material because this is honestly the fun bit, is adjusting the material, making it look metallic and shiny or whatever, you know. So let's bring up my layers menu over here. It also brings up a sub menu here. And we're going to select this layer. Go to material, which is already selected, reset it to metal. And just to keep it consistent with everything else, I don't know why I chose this, but it was at 0.57 on roughness, and I left the other settings alone. I may eventually decide on different things to make them more or less shiny, make it look rougher, more metallic, less glassy, but for now that's what I've kind of settled on. So I've got this nice glassy, shiny looking metal thing. Let's see, I wanted to bring up the color. Now, I'm colorblind, and colorblind, like, my color consistency is kind of lame. So I actually had my wife, Hannah, pick the colors for the metal on this. And so since she did that, I've just been pulling up my, here, let me open up so you can see it. Pulling up my stamps sheet here. And there's an option for custom stamps. And one of them actually has the correct color on it. And it's this little claw. I suppose that one actually does now too. So we're going to go ahead and just stamp that into the world for a second. Not going to use it there. I'm just using it as the color so I can pull up my paint tool and color steal from it, you know. I got my paint tool up. I could airbrush it, which is fun, but takes forever. So there's actually just a stomp. Turn the opacity to 100, and bam. There it is. A nice shiny. Oop. There we go. Nice shiny carapace. Now I'm going to be adding detail. A lot of my metal has veins going through it because it is a grown metal, right? And so especially in the Red Commonwealth, where they're less concerned about the aesthetic appearance of it and directly manipulating all these little things, that are just going to let the veins grow and feed the metallic materials to the plant that's growing the metal. Let's see. You know, I was going to post this on my regular Facebook page, but I think that might be too much lore for my regular Facebook feed, so I'm just going to have to stick this one into the VerdantScape feed, which is why I have that there. Okay, I wonder how long our video is going on. 15 minutes. I wanted to keep it under 20, so let's get some vines in here real quick. We're going to go ahead and add a new layer. Go down to actions. We're going to increase the resolution one time because the vines don't need much resolution, and the more resolution I have, the longer it takes to load cuts and things like that. And if it gets too much, it just gets absurd, like really annoying to work with, actually. Go back to my clay tool. I may actually, now I think about it, end up using this stamp I showed you earlier that has the color on it, just as like a foot or something, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Go away. Don't need you right now. We're doing vines. For vines, I only just use like the very basic circle tool. Make it smaller. Don't need. This is a big thing, right? Sometimes I'll even blow this up to like real life proportions for myself, so I can get kind of a scale idea, you know, so I can kind of carry it along. So I'm thinking about like that, which means the vines would probably be about that big. Okay. So that's our vine size. And we're just gonna, I want the legs on separate layers, so let's just fill the central carapace. When I first started doing this, I was really concerned about like the vine's consistency and making sure that they kind of make sense, and I like that a lot. But what I've found is that they still look like they make sense if I just fill, you know, like here, like I'm gonna put some vines here that don't really actually serve any purpose, but they have some fill to them, right? And we're gonna do the same thing over here. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. I should turn this way. It's just hard to not like look at the camera behind me, you know. We'll leave that gap there to be filled later. We'll just fill it right now. There we go. And the inside looks like an absolute bobbly mess, but that doesn't matter because we're just putting this in here so that there's filler on all the sides. Let's bring some vines around the sides here, and then now you never know what's going to show up from the outside, so like I never like to leave visible bobbly messes like that, you know. I just fill it in with crossbars. Alright, bring something along the edge here, then I like to bring in loops, but that cannon needs to be sitting kind of right there, so those vines need to be down. And actually, if it's a military device, it needs to have less exposed vines, I'm guessing. Just add some rib looking structures along here. And I also take a lot of like inspiration from human anatomy as well, because that gives it a very natural look, you know. Let's see here, which means I want pretty much a crossbar right there, and another crossbar right there. Now, will anyone ever see that? Probably not. Probably not at all. That's okay. Looks like we're to 18 minutes, 19 minutes. Let's get these vines recolored to the appropriate color and then be done. So once again, I don't rely on my own coloration because colorblind, so that doesn't really work. Let's pull up my stamps. I've got a stamp that has the right color on it. Just stamp that in. Go to my paint, steal the color from it, delete those, color those. So now we have the framework. Let's see, actually I imagine it going this way, of our Siegewalker, and we'll carry on from there tomorrow. And I'll probably just be doing these not live streams, but videos once a week, just so you know. just because I always feel lame with like this is my end product on a Tuesday, because you can't really tell what it is unless you've been following along with me. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you watched all the way through, I'm impressed. And you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye.